I woke to the hum, low, constant, the kind that seeps into bones and calls itself home. The sky was broken. Orange streaks cut across the darkness. My town, my home, was folding in on itself, star by star. Houses collapsed like tired insects. Smoke curled in lazy spirals. I ran feet bare, dust biting my skin. The ground cracked under me, snapping tiny sparks from the heat. My hands reached for anything solid, a wall, a pipe, a corpse, anything. The aliens came like rain, not water, not soft, metal and eyes that blinked without thought. Their shadows stretched across everything. They moved in numbers, silent. Their guns hummed. I remember my sister. She clung to my arm, her fingers like icy vines. I couldn't hold her forever, not when the sky itself was falling. I ducked behind a broken hatch. The metal shivered under me. The wind carried voices, human, alien, screams tangled like wires. I had my father's old coin in my pocket, warm against the cold of the world. Blood money, I whispered. He had given it to me years ago, in a time before we counted the cost of living. The first explosion threw me sideways. My shoulder hit stone, dust filled my mouth. My eyes burned. I coughed until my chest hurt. I crawled. Only crawling was safe. The aliens stepped over ruins. They didn't notice me. Their boots crunched bones, old and new. It was a rhythm, a song. I hated it. I found my way to the edge of town. Fires licked the sky. Houses collapsed into themselves like dying beasts. The river glimmered red. My mother's garden was gone. Flowers charred into the mud. I ran again. Not away, toward something I couldn't name. Shelter, revenge, survival, the words didn't matter. In the distance I saw others. Humans, or what was left of them. Some moved with purpose. Some just trembled, staring at the sky. I recognized fear. My own shadow trembled too. I joined a group. They didn't ask my name, they didn't ask my story. I didn't tell, not yet. There was no time. We moved in silence. Streets were broken glass and fire. Every corner was a choice, live or die. The aliens did not speak. Their presence was loud enough. Metal boots on broken concrete, eyes that reflected the burning sky. No mercy, no thought. We hid in what remained of the marketplace. Stalls charred, fruits rotting, signs sagging like tired shoulders. A child cried, high, shrill, cutting through the smoke. I grabbed his arm, his eyes wide. He didn't understand, I didn't understand. One of the group, a man with a scar across his jaw, muttered, "Keep moving. They'll burn everything if we wait." I nodded. I didn't have words. Words were useless here. We slipped through alleys, broken doors, and twisted metal. Every step was a calculation, every breath a victory. I spotted a ship landing nearby. Alien shapes poured out, machines bigger than houses, weapons bigger than our dreams. I wanted to stop, to scream, to fight. I did neither. I ran. The group split. Some went left, some went right. I went with a boy who smelled of smoke and fear. His name was Jaron. He whispered it like a spell. We ran through tunnels, old abandoned mines. They smelled of rust and wet stone. Echoes bounced around. My heart bounced too. Jaron stumbled. I caught him. His hands shook. I pressed my palm to his back. Steady. Hold it together. Hold it together. The aliens passed above, their shadows crawling across the tunnel walls. I touched them with my eyes. I memorized their shape, the way their armor glinted, the way their helmets swallowed faces. We emerged in a clearing outside the town. The sky was black now, only fire left as witness. The ruins were silent. Smoke hung like a blanket. I looked at my hands. They were red, not from blood, from the dust and fire. Still, the red looked like warning, like it belonged to someone else. Jaron stared at me. His lips moved. I didn't hear him. I only saw his fear mirrored in my own. We slept under a broken tree, its roots clinging to dirt like desperate fingers. I didn't close my eyes. Too much noise, too many shapes in the smoke. The stars were gone. The sky had dyed in orange and black. I thought of home, the smell of bread in morning light, The way my sister laughed when she tripped, the sound of my mother's voice calling me in for dinner, all gone. I touched my coin, warm blood money, a promise I didn't understand. I did not cry, not yet. Crying felt like surrender. Morning came with ash. It dusted my hair, my clothes, my hands. The wind whispered in voices I almost recognized. We moved again, always moved. I saw a ship crash into the distance, fire trailing like a comet. I saw the alien shapes flee from it, not fear, not surprise, something else. Disdain, boredom. I realized then that this war was not just about weapons or fire. It was about numbers, rules, control, and I had none. Yet somewhere inside a spark, small, fragile, refusing to die. I clutched the coin, blood money, my world reduced to ash. But I was still moving. And I would not stop. We reached the mining moon just as the sun disappeared behind the gas giant. Its light spilled over the jagged rocks like silver blood. The tunnels swallowed us. Rust and wires clung to the walls. Steam hissed from broken pipes. Every step echoed too loudly. The sound of our boots became its own army. I didn't speak. My throat was tight from dust and fear. Words had weight here. Words could make you stop, and stopping was death. Jaron trailed behind me. His fingers brushed the walls. Every scratch, every sharp edge, he touched it like counting stars in a dark sky. A door, old steel, graffiti faded under soot. We slipped inside. The room was alive, not with people exactly, with noise. Machines hummed, lights flickered, sparks danced in the corners, and humans were everywhere. Some carried tools, some carried guns, some just stared at blinking consoles like they held the future in their hands. A woman noticed us. Short hair, green-streaked, eyes like knives. She didn't smile, not at all, not a hint. "You knew?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but it held a weight, heavy enough to make you listen. I nodded. "Name?" I paused. Names felt useless. "I'm Curran," I said finally. "Follow me, watch and learn." She led us through the maze of the underground. Every corridor smelled of iron, sweat, and burnt metal. The walls were scarred from drills, explosions, and old battles. We came to a hangar. Ships of every size huddled under the roof. Some patched together with scrap metal, others sleek and shining like something born from fire. "They call this place home," Jaron whispered. I didn't answer. Home was gone. I had no right to that word anymore. The woman, her name was Lyra, showed us a ship, small, agile, barely 2 meters high at the cockpit. It hummed when she touched it, alive somehow. "This is yours. Learn it, become it." I stared. It was just metal and wires, but I felt its pulse, a rhythm. I stepped closer, fingers brushing controls. The hum answered me. Lyra watched, not speaking, not moving, just waiting. We trained, days blurred. I learned to feel the ship as part of myself. The throttle, the joystick, the switches, all extensions of thought. I focused on my hands, how they gripped, how they shook, how they burned with anticipation. I counted scratches on the control panel. I memorized every dent in the metal frame. Jaron tried too, but he trembled. His fear made the ship stiff under his hands. I wanted to tell him to stop, but I didn't. Fear is part of survival. We carried it like a shadow. Lyra never helped. She just watched, waiting for something to break or to grow. We learned the alien patterns, the way they moved, the way they slept, the way they overlooked the small human things. Patterns were weakness. I memorized them like prayers. One night, the moon's red light filled the hangar. We practiced a strike against supply lines. The simulation was perfect. Every alien transport destroyed before they knew it was gone. I thought of my town, my family, the coin, blood money. I shoved it into my pocket. Victory tasted hollow, sweet, bitter, familiar. Lyra spoke then, finally. "You'll need more than skill. You'll need instinct. They don't make mistakes. They don't feel. They don't expect humans." I swallowed. "I've got instinct." She didn't smile, didn't nod, didn't say yes, just turned away. We moved on to live missions. Small sabotages, supply drops, communication arrays, patrols. Every success whispered possibilities. One day I watched a transport explode, fire blooming in the black sky. Alien soldiers scrambled, confusion, chaos. I felt my chest tighten, excitement mixed with grief. Jaren laughed, too loud, nervous. I did not, my hands shook, my stomach roared. I stared at the fire like it spoke my name. The aliens came to investigate. We were gone. Shadows in the dark, ghosts in the smoke. They searched. We moved. The rebellion spread in whispers. Small victories became rumors. Rumors became stories. Stories became hope. I began to understand. The tide was not just numbers, not just ships, not just fire. It was us. One night Lyra pulled me aside. "You'll do it," she said, not a question, statement. "Do what?" I asked. "The strike, the one that changes everything, the one that makes them look at humans differently." I swallowed, my throat was dry, my hands went to the coin, blood money, the promise I didn't understand. "I don't know if I can," I said. She smiled, just a twitch. "You don't get to choose, you survive, you fight, you move, that's the choice." I nodded. We trained harder, faster, sharper. Every movement counted, every breath mattered, every second was a calculation. The aliens were predictable, not in their cruelty, in their arrogance, in their certainty that we were weak. I used that every day, every night, every ruined starfield we passed. The spark grew, small, fragile, burning, a human spark. We prepared for the first major strike. Supplies, communications, transports, destroy them, slow them, make them think. I felt fear, deep, heavy, but it was under the surface. Anger carried me forward, familiar, sweet, a tool I knew how to use. Jaren asked, "Will we win?" I didn't answer, not yet. I only touched the ship, felt its pulse, felt mine in reply. The moon outside was quiet, red, silent witness. I clenched my fists, blood money in my pocket, dust in my hair, ash in my lungs. I would not stop. The strike would come. And with it the first taste of human defiance. The fleet waited in the darkness. Stars blinked around us, distant and cold. Our ships were small, patched together, humming with borrowed fire. I climbed into the cockpit of mine, hands shaking but not from fear. Excitement carried it, sharp, hungry, like it had teeth. Jaren gave me a nod, his eyes wide, pupils black as the void. I returned it with nothing. Words were useless now. The alien fleet moved in formation above the planet. Massive ships, bigger than anything we had ever seen. Armor glinting in the starlight, guns pointing at everything that moved. I touched the controls, felt the hum, felt the ship's pulse. It was alive under my fingers. I let it breathe with me. Lyra's voice came over the comms, calm, cutting, sharp. "Remember timing, precision. The strike is yours to open." I nodded, not that she could see it. We launched. The ships accelerated, engines screaming, stars stretched into lines. My stomach floated, my chest burned. The aliens barely noticed. Their arrogance made them blind. They expected a small, desperate human attack. They expected failure. I aimed at a supply ship. Massive, bulky, slow, its shields glowed blue. I felt the ship vibrate under my hands. Focus. Breathe. Wait. And then fire. The missile tore through the shield. Explosion bloomed. Fire spread across the hull. The ship spun, torn apart. Pieces floated like shattered moons. The aliens reacted. Guns swung. Beams cut across the void. I dodged, twisted, banked. The ship answered. My hands, my mind, the machine, all one rhythm. Jaren followed in another ship. He yelled, voice lost to the windless void. I only heard the pulse of his engines, the echo of his heart. Another strike, another ship gone, chaos spread. The aliens scrambled. Commands shouted in clicks and screeches we could not understand. The fleet's formation faltered. They were large but not nimble. We were small, quick. Humans are always underestimated, always. I saw a capital ship moving to intercept. Bigger than a city, guns flashing. I swerved, fired, missed, adjusted, fired again, hit. The explosion lit up the void. A piece of debris slammed past my cockpit. I ducked instinctively, heart thumping, blood roaring in my ears. We moved like ghosts, every strike precise, every move calculated. I looked at the alien ships. Their arrogance had shifted. Confusion, panic, not fear, not yet, but uncertainty. That was enough. Lyra's voice cut through again. Now, strike the communication array. I banked hard, ship twisting in impossible arcs. Stars flashed outside. My mind merged with the metal, with the controls, with the pulse. The array was massive, suspended in orbit. Beams of light streamed outward, carrying commands, orders, signals. I fired. Missiles tore through the shields. The array broke. Communication scrambled. Orders lost. Alien ships floundered, blind in the void. Jaren screamed something I couldn't hear. Didn't need to. I saw the result. The fleet spun in chaos. Guns misfired. Ships collided. Explosions scattered like fireworks gone mad. I laughed, not joy, not triumph, relief. The sweet, familiar tool of anger that steadied me. We moved again, strike after strike. Supply ships, troop transports, armories, every hit counted, every explosion made them stumble. I felt my chest tighten, my fingers ached, my vision blurred, but I moved. Couldn't stop, couldn't. The aliens realized something. They began chasing, guns swiveling, beams cutting trails through stars. I banked, dived, weaved. The ship moved with me, through me. I was no longer Curran, I was tidebreaker. Jaren shouted again. I barely registered. Another strike, another explosion, the fleet's formation crumbling. We watched from above as alien ships collided, small humans against massive enemies. And yet, victory tasted possible. I remembered my town, my family, dust and fire and blood money. I clenched the coin in my pocket. Every strike was personal, every explosion a message. They thought humans were weak. They were wrong. The fleet's response faltered, coordination gone, chaos reigned. And in that moment I understood. One human, one mind, one spark could change everything. We regrouped, ships spinning, engines smoking, survivors counted, supplies low, but the tide had turned. Lyra's voice came through again. You did it. They'll rethink everything about humans now. I didn't smile, didn't celebrate. Victory felt hollow, heavy, bitter and sweet, like tasting fire in your mouth. Jaren laughed, hoarse and nervous. Relief spilling over. I only touched the controls, felt the ship's pulse, my pulse, the rhythm of survival. We drifted in silence, stars distant, the explosions fatting behind us. The first spark of rebellion had been struck. The aliens saw us now, not as humans, small and weak, but as unpredictable, dangerous, alive. I felt the anger simmer under my skin. Sweet, familiar, survival again, fuel for what was to come. We returned to base, ships limping, engines smoking, humans alive, not many, not all, but alive. I stepped out, feet on solid ground, dust in my hair, blood money in my pocket. The rebellion had begun, not in words, not in plans, but in fire. And I was ready. The alien command station hung above the gas giant like a crown of metal. Lights blinked in patterns that made no sense to me. Machines hummed in ways my ears almost understood. I climbed into my ship, fingers tight around the controls, heart hammering not from fear, from anticipation, excitement, anger, determination, all coiled into one. Jaren and the others followed, silent, eyes wide, hands gripping. I saw the same fire in them I felt in myself. Lyra's voice cut through the comms, calm, sharp. This is it, no mistakes, one strike, everything changes. I nodded, didn't speak. Words were useless here. We slipped past the outer patrols, shadows among shadows. The station's shields shimmered, solid, cold, untouchable. I felt it beneath my hands. The ship pulsed. We moved as one, a single heartbeat in a galaxy that had almost forgotten ours. The inner defenses were traps, beams of light spinning guards, drones that screamed in clicks and shrieks. My fingers danced across the controls, every movement precise, every breath counted. I thought of my town, dust, fire, ash, blood money in my pocket, every memory sharpened my focus. We dodged, twisted, weaved, ships spinning through corridors of fire and light. The station's interior opened before us. Massive halls, glowing panels, machines moving like living things. Alien shapes patrolled, huge, metal, faceless. I slipped through a doorway. Silence. My ship floated in. I climbed out, feet touching metal floors, cold, solid, real. The alien guards moved past. I held my breath. My eyes traced the shapes. Their armor glinted, their movements precise, but they didn't notice. Not yet. I moved step by step, touching consoles, panels, wires, learning by feeling, not understanding, just knowing. Each touch was a message. Each press of a button, a word in a language I didn't speak. I planted devices, small, silent, deadly, each one a promise to the humans waiting below. The station's core pulsed like a heartbeat, machines thrumming, orders flowing, commands for fleets I had already crippled. I reached for a console, lights blinked, data streamed in lines I could not read, but instinct guided me, fingers flying, pressing, disconnecting, disrupting. The alarms began too late. Lights turned red, drones swiveled, guns spun. I moved, ducked, rolled, reached another console, pulled wires, sparks flew. The station stuttered, shook, its pulse faltered. I felt it beneath my hands, alive, confused, vulnerable. Jaren covered me, his ship floated above, blinding lights from his engines. Alien patrols faltered, misfired, collided, chaos bloomed. I pressed the final sequence. The station shivered, systems blinked out, communication scrambled, every ship in the galaxy that relied on this command faltered. I stepped back, breathing hard, chest tight, hands blackened from sparks and metal. The aliens turned toward me, guns raised, machines moved. Their eyes widened, not fear, not yet, confusion, shock, disbelief. I smiled, small, quiet, dangerous. The station's core overloaded. Lights blinked, sparks flew, the floor shook, machines groaned. I stumbled but held, breath hot in my chest, fingers raw. The first strike was enough. Ships above faltered, supplies cut off, troops isolated, their empire cracking from a single human spark. I moved through the hallways. Alien guards fell, not by bullets, not by luck, by precision, by knowing where to touch, what to break, how to confuse. Jaren called over the comm, "Curran, you did it." I didn't answer, didn't celebrate, only pressed another wire, pulled another lever. The station faltered more. Chaos bloomed wider. I saw the alien commanders. Massive, cold, glinting in armor, they shouted. I didn't understand the sounds, didn't need to. Their movements became sloppy, misaligned. I touched the last console, all systems blinked, lights faltered, alarms drowned in static. The station was blind, deaf, falling apart. I backed away, my chest tight, breath shaking, the pulse of survival strong in my veins. We retreated, ships spinning, engines roaring. Alien patrols misfired, collided, burned. The fleet was faltering, the command broken. We watched from the void, the station lit by explosions, pieces drifting into space. Silence returned slowly, broken only by distant sparks and alarms. Lyra's voice was calm, sharp. "You did it, one human changed everything." I didn't answer, didn't smile. Victory felt hollow, heavy, sweet, bitter, familiar. Jaren laughed, nervous, relief spilling over. I only touched the controls, felt the ship's pulse, my pulse, rhythm of survival. I remembered my town, dust, fire, ash, blood money, everything I had lost. And yet we had won. Not for glory, not for power, for survival, for humans. The station drifted, broken. Alien ships scattered, command lost. systems disconnected, chaos reigned. And in that chaos, humanity rose. I touched my coin, warm blood money, dust in my hair, ash in my lungs. I would not stop. The tide had turned, the galaxy was quiet. Not peaceful, quiet, the kind that presses against your chest. That hums in your ears, that waits. I floated above a ruined planet. Smoke spiraled into the black sky. Broken ships scattered across the surface, some still burning, others silent tombs. Jaren drifted beside me, ship engines idle, eyes wide, staring at the wreckage. "We did it," he said, voice small, fragile. I didn't answer, words felt weak, useless. Lyra's voice came over the calm, precise. "It's done for now." I stared at the remnants of the alien fleet, once unstoppable, now scattered, disorganized, broken, chaos ruling where order had stood. Humans would rise, slowly, carefully, but rise we would. I touched the coin in my pocket, blood money, dust, memories, all the things I had carried across the stars. It burned my hand, a reminder, a promise. The stations we had destroyed were only the beginning. Supply lines, patrol routes, command networks, everything we had touched faltered. Every system we had struck spread confusion through the alien empire. The survivors would remember. Fear would grow in the minds of the ones left, not fear of strength, fear of unpredictability, fear of humans. We descended to the surface, ships burning in the skies above, flames licking the horizon. Humans greeted us in the hangar, small numbers, scarred faces, hands blackened with soot, eyes wide with relief and awe. No cheers, no celebration, only nods, quiet pride, respect earned in fire. I stepped out, feet on solid ground, dust under boots, ash in my hair, blood money in my pocket. Lyra approached. She didn't smile, not yet, just studied me, eyes sharp, mind calculating. "You've done more than survive," she said. "You've changed the rules, the game. They'll never underestimate humans again." I nodded, didn't speak. The words felt heavy, heavy with cost, heavy with what came next. Jaren spoke first, nervous, hopeful. "What now?" I touched my ship, felt the pulse, felt the rhythm of survival. "We rebuild, we wait, we watch." The alien survivors would regroup. They always do. Empires don't fall overnight, but they would think twice before striking, before underestimating. I looked at the sky. Stars scattered like sparks from a fire, black, cold, distant. I remembered my town, dust, fire, ash, blood money, my life before all this, gone, never to return. And yet we were alive. The humans in the hangar moved among the wreckage, fixing what could be fixed, salvaging what could be saved, learning from what had failed. I watched them, small hands lifting heavy tools, scarred faces determined, eyes burning with fire and memory. This was the human way: adapt, endure, survive, and when the chance came, strike. We sat in silence, ships humming softly, engines breathing like living things. I remembered Lyra's words from the training days: "They don't expect humans." She had been right. I felt it now. The spark we had lit in the Empire would burn for a long time, fear and respect growing, slowly, carefully, in minds that had never understood unpredictability. Jaren finally laughed, small, nervous, relief spilling over. I only nodded. I touched the coin in my pocket again. Warm, blood money, dust and memory. A reminder of everything I had lost, everything I had gained. The alien empire would rebuild. Command would be restored. Fleets would reassemble. Systems would be reinforced. But they would never forget the human spark. I thought of the people we had saved, the towns and stations, small victories but victories all the same. Every human life mattered, every action counted, and the galaxy had learned that lesson. We returned to the base, ships quiet, engines resting, humans moving through the hangar with careful purpose. Lyra approached me once more. "Rest, recover, the next strike may come sooner than you think." I nodded, didn't argue. Words felt unnecessary. My body ached. My hands burned from controls and wires. My mind thrummed with what had happened and what was yet to come. The galaxy had changed, not permanently, not completely, but the rules had shifted. Balance of power fractured, humans no longer underestimated. I walked through the hangar, surveyed the survivors. Small groups, tired faces, determined eyes. We were scattered, fragile but alive, and that mattered more than anything. The alien empire would remember us, one human, one strike, one spark. And in that memory we had power, not through numbers, not through weapons, through unpredictability, courage, and survival. I touched my coin one last time before pocketing it. Blood money, dust, memory, survival. The stars outside waited, cold, distant, silent, but they had seen what humans could do, and they would never forget. We were small, fragile, scarred, but alive. And sometimes that is enough.